Hi, this is the Jacksonville Environment and Appearance Advisory Committee, our 50th meeting. I want to welcome everyone here. We're going to do introduction.
Absolutely, if you wish to do so, Madam Chairman.
Okay. Stacia, would you like to start, please?
Hi, I'm Stacey Giles, Administrative Assistant.
I'm Sunshine Williams, Vice Chair and Tree Board Member.
Grace Harbrecht, Member and Past Chairman.
Nancy Keys, Member.
Gina Webb, Member and Recognition Committee.
Betty Scheffelbein, Chairperson and Recognition Committee.
I'm Glenn Hargett with the city.
Pat Donovan Brandenburg, Stormwater Manager with the city.
Philip Williams, Sergeant with the Jacksonville Police Department, and I'm in charge of the Community Service Division and the K-9 unit.
Okay, everyone has had a chance to read the agenda. Could we get an adoption of the agenda?
I make a motion we adopt the minutes.
Thank you.
Second.
Okay, the motion is carried, the agenda is adopted. We've got the minutes in front of us for today. We hope everyone's had a chance to read it. Could we have a motion to adopt the minutes of today's meeting?
Motion to adopt.
Let's clarify that would be the motion to adopt minutes of October 4th meeting.
Oh, okay, the October 4th meeting. Okay,
The minutes not quite yet done of today's meeting.
okay,
A second.
okay. Okay, I'm gonna turn it over to Glenn now.
Okay, and please make sure that you look at your page 9 so that make sure all the attendance is recorded correctly. And we're fortunate tonight to actually give you 2 presentations. One of them is a result of something that's happened at the state level that we want to make you aware of and they want your input on. And the other one is our annual presentation that we do with police. And as mentioned, Sergeant Williams is now the head of the Community Services unit for the police department. We congratulate him now on being part of that. And he is over that, that's a whole bunches of things that happen in community services. One of which that's significant is this part of the proactiveness that the police have put into effect. Many of you will remember, prior to 2010, we did not have a large proactive force. But Chief Pinero has wanted to institutionalize that within the force, and it's obviously paid off with our low crime rate and some other things. We know Sergeant Williams best for some of the work he's done in the traffic division, and we're real happy, though, that he's over in community services now. So without further ado, thank you, Sergeant Williams.
Thank you, Glenn. All right, so tonight I'm going to give a presentation on littering, some of the effects of littering, the cost of it, the dangers of it, as part of the Clean and Green. So as I've traveled recently to some cities outside the state and some within the state, I've seen that Jacksonville's doing pretty good with the way our city looks and stuff. Can we do better as far as the citizens and the people that travel through our town? Certainly. But I don't think we're plagued with some of the trash that I've seen in other nearby towns and cities and stuff. So what is littering? It's a very broad definition, a big definition that pretty much covers everything. So it's no person, including any firm, organization, private corporation, governing body, agents, or employees of any municipal corporation shall intentionally or recklessly throw, scatter, spill, or place, or intentionally or recklessly cause to be blown, scattered, spilled, thrown, or placed, or otherwise disposed of any litter upon any public property or private property not owned by the person within the state or within the waters of the state, including any public highway, public lake, or park, lake, river, ocean, beach, campground, forest land, recreation area, trailer park, highway, road, street, or alley. So pretty much anywhere. So that's the definition. Like I said, there's a lot to that. So there's a couple of different types of littering. Most of us know of the intentional littering. That's just where somebody blatantly, dumps trash outside of their truck, or they're in the boat and they throw it out in the water. They, throw a trash or a can out of their car. That's typically what we see and stuff. And people you know, sometimes I think so every car comes with an ashtray, but the most common type of littering that we see, especially in Jacksonville, is people flicking their cigarette butts out, which is a violation of the law, and that falls under the intentional littering. So you're in a vehicle, and if you intentionally litter from your vehicle, you can be assessed 1 point on your driver's license. That's something new that the state created several years ago. As far as your fines, the minimum fine is $250, and it goes all the way up to $2,000, depending on your offense. And how they break it down is so like 0 to 15 pounds. Obviously, it's your lower fines and your lower community service hours. Anything over 15 pounds is your higher fines and more community service hours. So what they typically try to do, if the judge assesses community service hours, typically that is picking up trash. So is your community service. Typically that's what it is. Obviously it's up to the judge. And that's a class 3 misdemeanor. Now some people have asked about insurance points. There's no insurance associated with it. It's just a point on your driver's license. Unintentional littering, some people aren't aware of it. So where we typically see this is pickup trucks, trailers. People throw cans or their fast food bags in the back, and they're driving down the road and it blows out. That's your unintentional littering. And then your fines there, of course, it's up to $100 and 12 hours community service, and it's just an infraction. Infractions are similar to you getting a speeding ticket or running a stop sign. Those are your infractions and stuff, so it's not as serious. So the effects of littering, I learned in this, doing this short PowerPoint here. I was really an eye-opener here. So DOT in 2015 spent $15 million, that's North Carolina DOT, on litter pickup, and they collected over 7 million pounds of trash. I was just like, wow. If I had to guess, I wouldn't even have said it'd been $1 million. So that was so it's very costly to taxpayers. Obviously, it's harmful to the environment and wildlife. When it comes to the boating, people are out on the boat and the plastic circle things, fish and turtles and things get caught in that, and it can kill them or injure them. It's an eyesore and an image problem. People, if you see trash or a trashy area, that can attract, homeless people. It could increase crime rate because it's just, it looks bad. So it might attract people to those areas that we really don't want around. As far as our homeless, we used to have some pretty big homeless camps in the city, and the community service division before I got there, they've done a great job of cleaning up those camps and creating some laws for the city ordinance that you can't camp inside the city. And to date, we did just run into one person that was camping in the city a couple of weeks ago. He thought he was actually in the county, but we informed him he was not. And actually, he cleaned up his own trash and got some trash bags, and we arranged for those bags to be picked up by sanitation and stuff. So he has since moved on. So the community service division is constantly out there looking. Obviously, we rely on the public, to report those issues to us. And then we handle it from there. The dangers of it, so several times a year, especially during the summertime, the fire department does respond to grass fires, and that's where people are flicking their cigarette butts out to medians. Apartment complexes, they'll throw them out and the brush catches on fire. So it's dangerous in that sense that it catches things on fire when you're talking about cigarette butts. The other thing is, as far as people that have loads in their trailers or trash blowing out of the back of their truck, it can cause people to wreck. You see something blow out, you tend to swerve, and you could hit somebody or run off into the ditch. So it's dangerous in that sense. So we encourage people that if you have, if you're taking things to the landfill, or if you have trash or things in your truck, have a protective netting over it, or tie those items down if they're large items. course, cigarette butts, as I mentioned, you see these a lot at intersections. You go to 17 and Western, there's probably thousands of cigarette butts. Again, people want to smoke. I'm not sure I understand why they want to flick them out, not put them in the ashtray, but that is one of the most common items that we see. And we do ticket people for that, to see them, flicking their cigarette butts out. And they're not biodegradable. They seem like they stay there forever. So unless somebody picks them up. So what can we do? Obviously teach young people, kids learn from us. They learn by watching and listening to us and what we do, what they see other people do, educate them. If you see somebody littering, talk to them about it and the effects that it can have on the environment in your community. I mentioned cover your truck beds or trailers when transporting loose items. Continued education amongst adults, kind of similar to what we're doing right now. I saw several people kind of surprised that you can get 1 point on your driver's license if you litter from a vehicle. So educating people, and then set the example. I've seen Dr. Woodruff walking out and about. I've watched him stop and pick up trash on the side of the road. And I've seen that spill over actually into other officers. I'm like, man, he just picked that up. So, kind of set the example. And report violators. So there's a couple of websites that you can do as far as reporting violators. The police department has a site program that's citizens involved in traffic enforcement, and people think of traffic, well, that's not traffic related. Well, you still, if somebody's doing it from a vehicle, you still can just jot down the tag number. If you can get the description of the driver, that's good. If not, you just write down the tag number and say maybe it's a Dodge pickup. You can contact the police department. And we actually have supervisors, myself or Sergeant Potter in traffic, we'll issue letters or we'll pay them a visit at their house and explain to them, hey, you were seen doing this. If it wasn't you, then, somebody driving your vehicle was seen, littering, and kind of address the issue that way. DOT also has a website, that you can visit in a program. It's called SWAT, a litter bug program. And it's actually a form that you can complete online, and that goes to the Highway Patrol, and they address those issues if you're outside the city of Jacksonville.
They will do it inside the city too.
Well, yes, sir. They will do it inside the city too. Does anybody have any questions?
What do you do about people with foliage, like trees and limbs and things, when they're hauling that and they falling out of trailers and things?
So that is, there are some exemptions to the law when it comes to like your mulch and things like that. Those people can be charged with, it's called failure to secure your load, which is it's a different, it doesn't fall under the littering, but it is a chargeable offense under the motor vehicle laws.
It has its own fines and
It does.
things to connection to
Yes,
that.
yes.
So instead of calling, they would go online, download the information versus calling the police department, right?
They could do either one. So if you're not driving, if you're just out walking and you see somebody do something, then you can just give us a call and report it that way and give the dispatcher the tag number, and we'll handle it. If you're driving and can have somebody else write down the tag number for you. So it's just however you want to handle it. There is the option of going online and completing the form, and you just go to Jacksonville Department of Public Safety, and it's going to be on the very first page on your left-hand side. It says citizen input, and you'll click on that, and it'll pull up where you can fill that form out.
But Jacksonville does have cleaner streets than a lot of cities do.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
That's the truth. And we are getting beautiful as far as our street, like flowers and greenery. We are. It's very noticeable.
And it also helps that, we have several, churches and groups, community groups that adopt the highway to pick up trash and stuff. So that helps as well.
Well, I've said I personally have used the SWAT litter bug program, and to get that letter from the colonel, I know it affects some people, significantly on the matter there. they should probably call the admin, the non-emergency line when they call, if they should wish to call, correct?
Yeah, so that just,
4,000.
yeah, 910-455-4000.
So that way, the dispatchers aren't overwhelmed. They have emergencies, they continue to work. If you dial 911 to talk about a litter bug, not knowing what's going
The
on.
street cleaner, he gets a lot of those cigarette butts up at the corners, right? The street cleaner
Yeah.
at night.
Yeah, the street sweeper, yes, ma'am.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would pick up a lot of the cigarette butts. But
It's
there's
a
some,
shame, but I'm glad he does. I've seen him get a lot of them.
As long as it's in the street or the gutter, if it's up on a grassy embankment or knoll or
Right,
in the
yeah.
landscaping, it does not.
And the perfect example of that is Cheney and Murray.
Yeah.
Where people just sit there and look them out. I have lots of pictures. So, Sergeant, thank you very much, sir. And y'all, he is our liaison, so, this is your person you can talk to about issues and things such as that. It is amazing, what's talked about now with littering flows right into what Pat wants to talk to you about. And I'm gonna let her give you a little bit of background before she's looking for some input from you. So Pat, Donovan Brandenburg, this is why she's back.
Thank you. So the reason why I'm here tonight is to ask for your help. We have learned that the state, DEQ, Department of Environmental Water Quality, is actually conducting audits of all of the municipalities in the state. And with that in mind, I've been going to a lot of classes and training on these audits, on what they're looking for, and now knowing what they're looking for is I'm trying to, Glenn and I are trying to better focus the stormwater program on where to go from here over the next 5 years. And so what I'm going to do is just talk about what the state's going to be looking for and how we can better bring our city into compliance. So when they audit us in 2023, we have a date. In 2023, we passed the audit with flying colors. So just to give you a little bit of background, because we have our Clean and Green program, this media campaign will tie in nicely between the two. So again, the reason why we're here is we've got new information from the state on exactly what they're looking for when they come to a municipality and they audit. This past year, 2019, they actually conducted 26 audits. They are currently in Greenville as we speak. They've been there for 3 days. They are conducting these audits at the insistence of the federal government. So the federal has passed this down to the state, and the state is now looking at these programs that have been in place for 5, 10, 15, almost 20 years. And what we have found is of the 26 audits, only 1 has passed.
Oh, wow.
Everybody else is getting NOVs, and NOVs is not a good thing. Fines are normally associated with NOVs. You have
It
a
stands
very,
for Notice of Violation.
oh, sorry, notice of violations, NOVs. You have a very short time period in order to fix the things that are wrong when you have a notice of violation. So it's a very tight timeline. A notice of deficiency means you've got some things wrong, so we'll give you a little bit more time, but it's not as bad as a notice of violation. So again, trying to be proactive instead of reactive and get ahead of the audit. What we were wanting is your input on what you think we need to do next or where we need to go next. So please remember that the city's had the stormwater program for almost 15 years, and our top 3 pollutants are sediment, and that's not just North Carolina, that's all of the United States. Sediment's the number 1, nutrients in the form of fertilizers, bacteria in the form of fecal coliforms, pet waste, and or if there is a spill. So our number 1, as you see here, this may look like a water or flooding problem. It is not. This is actually sediment that has filled the parking lot. as well as an area around a storm drain. So you can actually see the sediment going around the bag that was put there to protect it. It's coming in around the corner. If a catch basin or a storm drain is full of sediment, where's the rainwater going to go when it is raining very hard, or if to prevent flooding? We've got to keep sediment out of our system. Thinking about our catch basins, our pipes, and our ditches as a city asset, the same way you would think about water and sewer. Water and sewer is made up of miles and miles of pipes getting water to your house and then away from your house. Stormwater is the same thing. We have the same kind of system of pipes and ditches and catch basins taking water away from businesses, away from your houses. But what we have to focus on, not just the water quantity, but the water quality. Remember, the river's only been open since 2001. It was closed for 20 years. So keeping it open is still very vitally important. As number 2 contaminant, remember, was nutrients in the form of fertilizers. When you have too much nitrogen or too much phosphorus, you're going to get an algal bloom, as seen on the left of this slide. An algal bloom is detrimental because what it does is causes the dissolved oxygen in your water column to plummet, and you actually get a fish kill. And then the third thing, of course, back to how do nutrients and fertilizers actually get into our system, is remember, fertilizers are positively buoyant. Please do not add fertilizers to your lawn or any other thing before a rain event. That's actually a myth, because in North Carolina, you don't know how much rain you're going to get. It could be 1/4 of an inch, but more likely it's almost always 1.5 inches. Well, if it's that much water, that fertilizer is going to float on the top of your rain event and end up into your drainage ditch. And remember, your ditches flow into your tributaries, your streams, and the streams all flow to the new river. So what you want to do is put the fertilizers down when you know it's not going to rain, break out your hose, add the required amount of water that's supposed to go on it, and it should be on the label. So reading the label on how much and how much water to add keeps it there in your lawn instead of in the ditchway. Also, sweeping things down a storm drain causes many heart attacks by me. If you see anybody doing this, please let us know. And then again, bacteria, where people are actually actively pumping sewage or just because they didn't know any better, is not a good thing. So what are our target audiences? This is one of them. You see mobile car washes in and around Jacksonville. Everybody has a right to earn a living. If that's their way of earning a living, there's a right way to do these mobile car washes and a wrong way to do these mobile car washes. You've got to keep stormwater in the middle and think, which way am I going to do this? So that's one audience, is our car washes. Another one is our pet owners. I love animals more than anybody. I have a house full of them, and every time I walk my dogs, I take disposable bags with me and I clean up. In the old days, when it was just one dog or one cat, that's fine, but look how concentrated we are now. That's many, many animals. We have to be responsible pet owners and clean up after them. All of our city parks and our waterways have pet waste stations now. Even our running trails have pet waste stations so that we could make it convenient for our citizens. But now what we need to do is focus a little bit more on in our neighborhoods, is our neighbors, our friends, is, to educate as well as help in that area too. A third audience is our lawn care companies. You can't mow the lawn and let it blow out into the street, or purposely blow it out into the street after it's been mowed, and that's just your spring and summer set. Then in the fall, you've got all of those leaves, mulching them up and then shooting them out into the road is not any better. nor is putting leaves in the gutter line any better. Because as you see to the slide to the right, if that catch basin, again, is full of, not this time sediment, but leaves and trash and grass, where's the stormwater runoff gonna go? And we're trying to prevent flooding of businesses and homes. So if you see anything, please let us know. Another one is car repair or auto mechanics. Again, we all drive a car. We need, our fluids checked. What mechanic do you take your car to? How do they dispose of any petroleum products? What do they do with used filters? Are there 55-gallon drums on the outside around the building? Be an educated consumer about who actually works on your car. At the same time, we would get information to, please police your work area. Are any of these things apparent? Here's what can go outside, here's what can't be. Now, this is our city garage, and believe me, our fleet is a great place to visit if you haven't seen it. They do a really good job. Another audience, restaurants. Grease. What do employees do with the mop buckets after mopping, the floors at the end of the evening? I can tell you, 1 out of every 10 restaurants, the employee throws it out the back door. It can't go out the back door. It's supposed to go down a mop sink. And does that mop sink go to our wastewater treatment facility out at Lando? Hopefully it's not plumbed directly into one of our streams. So again, this is another audience. And then retail, commercial trash. Where you shop, do you see this? If you do, will you walk in, speak to the manager and say, I see you have all this trash. It's not real sightly for your store. Don't be confrontational. If you don't want to do it, by all means, call us, let us know. We'll go through our trash program or our sanitation program. We'll go speak to them. Does the dumpster have a lid? It's supposed to be closed. Does it have a plug at the bottom so the leachate does not spill out? Is it sitting on top of a storm drain? So, trash is a major problem. We are singing the same tune tonight. And then finally is our neighborhoods. We have a lot of neighborhoods in Jacksonville, and we have some great neighborhoods, and we have some great neighbors. But there's a few that we could still educate, that we could help along. So how can we do that? Do you have an area in your yard that it's always a freestanding mud puddle? Well, let's turn that into a rain garden, because we actually get water quality improvement out of that rain garden. Instead of you having a mud puddle in your front yard, it's now something beautiful that could attract pollinators, and it's improving water quality. Another component is, keeping the retailers is, I see shopping carts everywhere. We just pulled 2 of them out of one of our, our wet retention ponds at, one of our set of apartments. There were 2 of them right there, right by the outlet. So we pulled them out, and we were going to push them over to the dumpster, and the manager actually yelled at us because we were putting them beside the dumpster. They didn't want them there. And I'm like, okay, what do you propose we do with it? Because we've tried to take them back to the actual companies that are written on the side. They don't want them back either. So we picked it up and put it in the dumpster, and I informed sanitation that they were in the dumpster. Luckily, there was just 2. So we also deal with homeless camps, and the reason why we deal with them is we are sampling every week, and most of these homeless camps are right beside streams and in the woods, which is where we're working every week. So we see them. We educate them to the point of please don't throw your trash out. Don't throw it in the stream. Don't let it lay about. We're going to turn you into the police department. So we've helped cleaned up a lot of homeless camps as well. And Jim Wheeler, our part-time, God bless that man. We love him. He's the one that turns in the camps to us. We also tried to target, our general population on every event that we attend, just trying to get the word out. But I feel like we still need to do a better job. Thus, the program that we want to do over the next 5 years. With that, Glenn and the media department will be working close in hand with Stormwater on one of these audiences a year, hitting them heavy with what the message we're trying to relay specifically to restaurants, or specifically to lawn care, or specifically to car washes. We're going to inundate them, all of them, within the city of Jacksonville with information throughout in a lot of different ways, be it flyers, be it through publicity, of which, remember, publicity is not guaranteed, it's earned. So we need to do an outstanding job so that we earn the publicity in our news as it should be. It should be about good things in our news, the good things that the city are doing. So it's not a given, it is earned. Also, we could send out things in our utility bills, just little reminders. If you're a restaurant, you get one in your bill, you make it a little reminder. Hey, please remember to check your grease trap. When was the last time it was cleaned out? Or is trash building up outside of your bin? Maybe it should be emptied twice a week instead of once. Same thing with our city calendar. There'll be messages within the city calendar that will again target that specific audience for that specific year. And as always, it will go on the city's website. Sturgeon City, with the education of our young people, will continue to sing the praises of stormwater, because remember, it is part of the 5th grade curriculum. And last year, 10,000 students went through Sturgeon City with our new building. Lord, I can't wait to hear the number at the end of this year.
So bottom line is, she's asking for guidance of those
Yes,
things
please.
that you saw. Which do you think is the highest priority to hit? Now, some would say, you go after the toughest thing first because it might take more time or whatever there. The other is some of the low-hanging fruit that's out there you can knock off fairly easily as it is. But we want to see what your opinion is of what things, we're going to work on all of them, but we need to focus a campaign on one of those items to begin with. And again, we'd love your input. Crickets.
How about just general gut feeling? Anybody? What do you think?
Education, letting them know exactly.
Which
We
would
want
you
to know
target
which one
first?
you would think that we should do first.
Which is the biggest problem is the sediment, right?
Sediment is our #1 contaminant.
That's contain.
And it's the most difficult to explain to people what it is and why they
And
need
it's the
to,
hardest problem.
not to blow things out in the street. That part they get. After that, it gets to be a little harder to explain what that sand and dirt and those things in the street.
But if you contain them from doing it, that's all,
Absolutely.
the rest is gonna be home free though.
But of all the businesses that we just identified, which one in your minds, out in and around Jacksonville in your daily routine? Lawn
Yes.
Lawn care.
Because I have seen many blowing it into the street.
Yes.
And
We have a neighbor that does it.
I think you contain businesses easily. The grease trap, the grease part, just visit them.
Now that part again is-
We own businesses too. We might not like it, but we would see the effect of it and we would conform to it.
Well, you don't
Easily.
want to be like some of the companies that get that grease trap fouled up and then they have to close the business
That's
because
right.
the
That's
health
what I'm
department shuts them down.
Yeah.
You know, we know the enforcement of things too, you see. That's where you get the action from, And
Sometimes
just
you
like,
have to get their attention.
yeah, and we own trash bins and stuff like that where the citizens use it and destroy some of the things, putting bed things on the outside of it and stuff like that. So we're trying now to maybe put gates up and stuff like that to contain those areas. So there's, it's things, and that's been educated and on some things. The businesses, I don't think it's gonna be the problem. I think you're just gonna have to tell them that this is needed and they will do it.
Well, some of you will remember in 2009, 2008, 9, and a little bit in 10, we actually went, when it was beautification appearance, and asked what areas you thought we should work on. And lawn care was fairly easy in that at the time, they were required to get a license. You know, the state did away with that, and now we don't have a list of all the lawn cares. We can accumulate people who have a Google business account, or, you know, that they're advertising for it, or Facebook or whatever there, but there's not a significantly comprehensive list of lawn care businesses, because you also have, you know, Joe's doing it on every third Wednesday of the month or something, and has those type of accounts. And some of those people are the worst violators, because they just want to get in and get out and
But don't
go.
they have to have
Business.
No, no, the state did away with that. We're no longer able to charge for a business license for that. No.
There's so
So-
many.
That was, you know, that, I know it seemed onerous, but it gave you a list of them.
Exactly.
And I think that Sergeant Williams will certainly say, when people come and get new licenses, it gave us an entree to say, okay, let's get who's the
Yeah.
responsible person
Yes.
Tell
at
them
that
what to
business
do.
that says, if your door's found open, we can get up with you. Now they have to equally watch to see what business is open. So they go, okay, here's the scoop, here's how you get your license. But I divert. What we'd like to hear from you is, which one do you think is the highest priority? And I seem to hear that sediments with lawn care and things like that is a consensus of you all. Gina, you feel the same way? You feel the same way? Okay, this is good. All right.
I also think that we have a problem with the pets. I'm a runner, and
With the what?
with the
Pets.
pets.
Pets, okay.
Yes.
I'm a runner, and that just, you know,
Discuss.
I wish we could, like on the running trails, if you could put signs up saying that they would be charged $500 for their.
We can't just put up a sign.
I know.
But that would be that's one that's, you know, obviously with these pet waste dispensers and things, and of course, at my house, we recycle the grocery bags to use for that purpose. But, you know, that it's to pick up, and there's several successful campaigns across the state on pet waste. We will say that. That's kind of the things there, and we get you folks to help us with some of those, with your pets. So that'd be kind of like number 2 and
Yes.
okay. All right. I'm shocked. I thought you folks would pick something else for your number 1, so I would have lost my bet. I'm not gonna say now.
And then I think of beautification.
Yeah, but anyway, these are good things.
But it's better to
We
be
have some direction.
proactive than it is to be reactive to the,
And that's what we're
Oh.
trying to do, is be proactive. And if we saturate each business for a year and then move on to the next, we're hoping, again, remember illicit discharges, when we first started this program 15 years ago, it was 120, 140. Last year it was 54, this year it was 44. The city really wants to get it down to 0. And we would like no more trash in our streets, in our ditches, in our waterways. Golly, if we could just get
And I
rid
want
of
you
the
to remember the
trash.
thing that was on that slide that she talked about that was from the state, that was actually a state government slide that was done. And one of the things they napped these people on was that the programs were being more reactive than proactive. So what the philosophy is with us is that we want to get in front of some of these things. We're seeking your advice, because obviously citizen input has a high score of saying, our citizens said they want us to work on this problem. So that's what Pat and we can work with on media and such there to make a campaign and work on that problem.
So you know what they're going to be auditing when they come down.
Oh, yes.
So this is one of the top things that they look at.
Well, they want you to make sure you're complying with what things you said, and she pointed out the sediments, nutrients, and bacteria. So pet waste is the bacteria, you know, the nutrients is this over-fertilization that occurs, and insignificant runoff and problems such as that. And then obviously, you know, sediments that we've just talked about as a matter of there too.
Now, those straw things that you see sometimes around the grates,
Yes,
Yes.
they're beneficial.
is that something that can go into like neighborhoods and all too?
Well, you don't leave them out. They are put
Oh,
out
okay.
while you're for construction
Yes.
and when there's something special going on. They're
It'd be
not
nice to
made,
catch the leaves that I have to scrape out of the grate all the time.
well, that's another story. But to the point there, those are made, and you know, they are required, if you do construction, you have to mitigate your sediment runoff from the site there. And they will cite construction people that are not doing that. So that's, all right, well, we've taken good
We
time on this
will-
thing.
Also keep you updated, so in October, Glenn and I will be able to share what we've done up to this point then on those two audiences, what kind of media campaign will bring you up to date in October on pet waste and lawn care companies. Thank you for your
I
help.
think most people are receptive to doing what's right.
I do too.
If they know it's wrong, if they come to know why.
And there's a benefit to it. I do.
Just like Sergeant said, I mean, why are you throwing that cigarette out? We know probably half of them are just, they don't want to dirty their own car.
Exactly.
Well, why you want to dirty my city?
That's right.
For my environment.
Yeah. Go take your cigarette, you're on. Anyway. All right, well, Madam Chairman, with your permission, then we'll just go on to the next couple of items there. And we appreciate y'all. If y'all want to stay, you're welcome to stay. If y'all want to be
Very nice.
run like you can run now, you know.
Very enjoyable.
So go on that deal. Thank you both. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
We want to share pictures of the Sanitation Division event that we had on November 20th there. And, you know, you all recognize some faces there. There's one that we recognize as it is there. And this was a nice little event. It was well received. And there were the food and the items were appreciated. They like to grab and go.
Yes, they
And
do.
that's pretty much what they want to do at this point because remember, the Sanitation Division is paid on the task system. So when they get their task done, they can go home. So, you know,
Yes.
you don't want to be the guy holding them at the gate, you
Yeah.
know, type of situation there. So that's where that is. Now, obviously, the next event will be at the Parks Division. And that is Thursday, December 12th at 7:15 a.m. And the Parks Division site, if you want to put it in your GPS, is 1152 Commons Drive North. We do need some people to help us with setup on Wednesday, December 11th, and 7 a.m. on Thursday, December 12th, to help set the stuff up. And Pam Trafton is the contact for that. But if you just call here to Stacia or myself, we'll get you to the right people as it was there. Next is the recognition subcommittee, and Gina, with your permission, I'll just take a couple points here if it's all right with you, and kind of go from there. People are encouraged to submit things. This one was submitted by someone that we all know, and an address on the matter. And this is the committee has this one nomination to consider as to whether it wishes to advance the effort or what you want to do on this. This is a nice summer location as it is, and looks a little different today than it does right there. Down the grass.
That's the one I reckon.
Yes, ma'am.
Well, it was very beautiful in autumn colors, but today it's not.
That frost did us all in there.
Yes. It was
So if
beautiful.
y'all want to proceed with this one, we can make that happen and go
Yes.
forward there.
Yes.
Yes, we should.
Is that a consensus?
Yes.
Do you
Yes.
like that?
I
Okay.
like the way they edge. That's what my husband.
Well, the next thing is the holiday home decorating contest, and for those of you at home, we need you to nominate by December 16th so we can make sure we go by and see your house. We have 2 nominations that have come in thus far, and they're both in the same court. And so we want some other people to help us. We are pushing this out and advancing that to let people know. The tour, as we know, will be and you can do it online. I forgot to mention this. You can do it online at Holiday Contest, jacksonvillenc.gov/holiday contest. It's a nice little form. Sunshine, I hope you found the form easy to fill out for the other part there, and now we have a special one for the contest. We do require a photograph because we want to make sure we're getting the right house. So that's why we ask people to give us a photograph, and also you might capture it at a time that we might not be driving by so, with the lights on or whatever they're on the map. So we're going to be gathering up, as you all know, at on 4:30 p.m. on December the 17th. We need the 16th for you to submit by, because we need to get these things printed out, plan a route, and get that to the bus, because we'll be on the bus with hot chocolate and donuts, based on
Okay.
what's hot chocolate and donuts, and we'll be having.
We'll be there.
So we'll have on that part. But we will be leaving at 4:30, so please be here. Got your stuff in the deal here, and we'd like you to do that part. The next thing is, the slide there, we'll just hold here at this moment. Tree board meeting and Arbor Day. We're asking if you would, the tree board members, if they would consider January the 10th for a meeting. We'd like to see if we could do something at 10 o'clock on that date. So if you'll check your calendars and let me know at the end of the meeting and whether or not that date still works for you on the matter.
10 o'clock.
Yes. We have officially filed for the 40th year's recognition of the City of Jacksonville for Tree City USA Award. I am hopeful that we will get that designation. And we are proposing to have the Arbor Day, we mentioned this since the last meeting, on April the 24th at 2020 at Northwoods Park Middle School. That was what you had selected at that time. The principal is excited about it. So she is a wonderful person, and we love working with her. And so consequently, we will be getting with her about, performances of the students and et cetera from that situation. Any other comments or thoughts on that?
That's on April the 24th at Northwoods Park.
Yes, and we won't have the exact time until we want to work with their schedule, obviously.
And what's her name?
Angela Garland. She used to be at Jacksonville High School, and she was back in the day was a journalism teacher, and we work with her with Surgeon City and some other programs. So it's nice
That's
to
on
see this
Decatur
people
Road.
coming. Yes.
Okay.
I think you know where Northwoods Park Middle School is. She lives cat corner from it. It is our process here. We want to talk to you a little bit more about recycling and recycling right. Remember, we passed out to you folks previously those social media toolkits that you can do, and hopefully you've seen some of the work that Kim Tillman and other members of the media team have put out on the matter. We do also have the handouts that you can do. You have it on the last page of your document there. We will be running in the next edition of our utility insert we're putting out there. And of course, we are pushing right now some of the basics and the season. We're reacting to the season. Remember, tell people don't bag your recyclables. Please put them in your bins so they're loose. And here's the naughty and nice list. Ms. Tillman has put these together, and this is what we're pushing out right now about those things that are nice that we like to take, and those things that we unfortunately cannot take, that our center does not take at this time. So you can always find this at jacksonvillenc.gov/recycle, and you can have all this type of information there as well. It is the time for a census moment. If that's all right with you, Madam Chairman. We just want to mention that obviously the census purpose is, just think about it, we are less than 90 days away from the census notices coming out to you. On March the 12th, for most of them in the Jacksonville area, you'll actually get a little card that will encourage you to fill it out. If you live in census tracts 19 or 26, you will not get a card. You will get the actual paper form because they view that area as having internet insufficiencies. So they'll actually get that. And one of the things the Complete Count Committee is doing is providing public spaces for people to go and do their forms online should they desire to do so. The purpose is to count every person living in the U.S. Politics aside, we want to count every person. This is it. That's the purpose of the census. You folks know that it's required by the Constitution, and we see that one of the benefits are that funds are distributed based on population. And in North Carolina, we get 1,623 people over the last 10 years per person for each person counted, and $205 in state funds per person that are accounted for. And over the decade, we have lost, we think, about 22,000 people, and that meant that we didn't get a congressional seat in North Carolina. Jacksonville went from the 10th most populous city in the state to the 14th. So that because we didn't count that. It's used for redistricting and matters such as that, and representation. We even have to do the city wards have to be adjusted if they go out of compliance by more than 2%. That has to be done as it was. And residents use the data. It tells the story of our community. I mean, realtors and others are part of that, and businesses use it for profiles as to what to do, and we use it for preparedness, safety, and information about our citizens and how they do. And this is what we said about real estate. And of course, it's easier to do more than now than ever before, because you'll just take that little card, go in, punch in your number at the census.gov website. If you don't want to do that, you can call a number. And if you happen to speak 25 other languages, they'll have that available at that time for you, and you can do that. Or you can ask for a paper form and fill it out and send it back in. If you don't respond by April 1st, they start the follow-up efforts at that time, and that starts with phones and second mailings and things such as that as it was. Know that I know there's a lot of distrust in government as it is, but you know, the Census Bureau has not had any breach of their data or anything such as that. Your data stays confidential for 72 years. Just today in the hall, had a conversation with someone who you all know, Lily Gray, and was talking about she looked back in the historical of her family, because after 72 years, that information is released at that time. She was able to find out some information about that she had some family members that had been in the service that she was unaware of. She was unaware of how some other people, she found a relative that doing her ancestry that she wouldn't have found had not she been able to look at that document as it was, because it had just come released as it was too. And the census workers take a pledge that is a lifetime pledge, not just for the time while they're working for the census. It says forever, anything they learn as a census worker, they can't, about private information, they cannot divulge. So, and of course, it's our civic duty. It says we should do this, we ought to do this part as it was there too. And for the One City moment, we want to talk about something that Fernando and Betty have had a lot of experience with there, and that's the Veterans Day Parade. We just think that was just something that was just a wonderful thing out there to look at and do. There was the Grand Marshal who would not get in the car.
Yeah.
We all of us who know who that is just say, okay, not a surprise. But it was a wonderful day. It was a bit cold at the beginning there. This is the first place award winner, by the way.
Oh, okay.
And it warmed up. It was nice. It was a good day for a parade. And so that was that. And lots of little people running around, lots of people waving. Horses that needed follow-up. The second place award here, this was a Girl Scout troop. It's cute little things there. Lots of bands. I'll tell you, there were bands out there. No doubt about it this time. There's Councilman Jackson and his mother.
And his mom.
And the Cootie, they won the award for Best Hat. And this was one that we put into the parade there because we wanted to introduce the Bulldog for the Arts Council. And we're pleased that we got third place in the parade, category. That was the work of Kim Tillman and Lisa Miller. And the nice thing about that is that we got Reuben the Bulldog to come and to welcome that. He wanted to see what his cousin looked like, and bronzed up like that, and made something nice about it. This guy's got 100,000 subscribers, and it's gone up to 126,000, here recently as such there. He came at no charge to us there, and we had people actually fly in to see this dog.
Oh, wow.
Isn't that fantastic?
But anyway, that was a surprise to many of us. Nice guy though, yeah. But the guy that still got it, he is just a wonderful person. If y'all want to go for some just chuckles, go to Reuben the Bulldog on YouTube, and he has an Instagram account too. But it's good, clean fun. I'm gonna tell you what, if you don't smile, I'll buy your lunch. Then we had an event that was afterwards at the Jacksonville Commons, and of course he was the featured, and this is some of the people that came to see him and wanted their pictures made with Reuben the Bulldog. And obviously the statue. The statue is now being clear coated, and we'll be installing it here at City Hall after the first of the year.
Wow.
There'll be a Navy one that we'll do, and then we're going to do some others at other parts of the city. But this is a fundraiser for the Arts Council, just much like the Bears were in New Bern for their deal. So if you know a good company that wants to get one, go across the street, see Noah in the crowd, and they're selling them over there. And a local artist will do it, and it'll be something that you can be proud of during that time.
That's too cool.
So I was shocked at how many people wanted their pictures taken with the Bulldog.
Yeah.
I think he was trying to make his face look like a Bulldog.
Yes, I think so.
But The sergeant major did bring out some of his own vehicles out there, and this touch a truck, I must admit, I was a little apprehensive about that, but that was very popular. People like to do that. In our recreation division, they put together a wonderful amount of activities for families, because we made this a family-friendly activity and such there. And, we had presentations for the Museum of the Marine. I was shocked at how many people came out to hear the Wounded Warrior Barracks story. It was very emotional, them telling that story in there as well. That was pretty popular at the time. But here are some of the speakers that were presenting during that event and such there. There's Sergeant Williams. He's works very well in public. I'll just say that as well. But we had a lot of our trucks out there because we can ask them to come and be a part of this. Kids love fire trucks. And they love the big trucks. And what we were shocked about how many adults wanted to sit in the trucks. You know, it was like that. And the Parks Division did hay rides. And, you know, it was good. And then Mike Crotta performed out there. And that was nice. He's such a good deal. And then on Monday, the actual ceremony, the Veterans Day observance there at the DAV. And there were a lot of people there. And it's kind of a small room, but it was well served at that point as it was. And that was our Veterans Tribute Weekend. We intend to do this next year, and it's part of what we make from that deal. So, Madam Chairman, that's what we have, and I have no other staff items at this time.
Okay. Our next meeting will be February the 6th, here. And you have a list underneath that of all the other upcoming meetings. Does anyone have anything else to bring forth? If not, we'll adjourn the meeting. We have a motion to adjourn the meeting.
Motion to adjourn the meeting.
I second.
Thank you very much. Merry Christmas.
Thank you very